What's going on YouTube? Lou here from MCC, licensed massage therapist and certified personal trainer. And today I titled the video, Why Can't You Get Shit Done? And this video was made mostly because of me and not being able to get stuff done like I wanted to or I planned to. And because as a personal trainer and massage therapist, the last 3 years been extremely busy. I've been working 7 days a week the last 3 years. I've been working long days, long hours, and I've always had plans of doing things to get me to the next level. But for some reason, my excuse in the past was time. And I was like, once I have the time, once I go on vacation, I have time to think about what my next step is to advance myself in my career. And when now we're in quarantine, and when quarantine first hit for me was March 16th, where my gyms closed down, nobody wanted to get massages anymore. And for me personally, this was an exciting time because financially, I'm pretty much set. I have enough money to last the next 6 to 12 months, and so I was able to collect unemployment. So I was excited because now I have all this time to work on what I need to work on. And one of the things I always wanted to start was a YouTube channel. And I would wake up every morning with ideas and on how to start this YouTube channel, but I kept finding excuses. I don't have the right camera. I don't have the right idea yet. I don't have enough camera time. I'm nervous to speak on camera. These were things that kept popping up for me. And for some reason, I just couldn't get shit done. I was like, why the fuck can't I get shit done? Like, what's going on with my brain that's making me do this? So, of course, I wanted to figure it out. So, what did I do? I researched it. And, I found out a lot of things that I already knew, and I'm going to break down some of these things. First thing that's very important is I already knew this, but if this is your first time hearing this, believe it or not, your brain is not wired to be successful. Your brain is wired to survive, which means that your brain is gonna do anything. It's like a computer. It's gonna program you to do the same thing over and over again because what you've been doing in the past few years for me is a pattern. It's familiar. And even though at times I was somewhat miserable and burnt out, my brain knows I'm not gonna die from doing this. And this is why it makes me take the same route to work every single day. This is why I do the same workout routine all the time. This is why I say the same things in every sales encounter I come into contact with, because I know that I'm not gonna get into any trouble. It's something that I've done over and over again. So for me, starting something like this, a YouTube channel, which isn't familiar, I realized that my brain is making me think that this is dangerous. This is deadly. This is something that's gonna, really hurt me. And unfortunately, I'm finding out that this has been evolutionary wired into us since caveman days. Because back in the day, during caveman times, where there was only a tribe, if you went out for a walk, by yourself, chances are you was gonna get killed if you was by yourself. So your brain learned to habituate, and that's why back during caveman times, you took the same route to get food. You knew where the tree was. You knew where that was. You knew where that was. You wasn't trying to discover new things, because new things meant deadly consequences for the most part. So, once I learned that, like, wow, like, so my brain literally thinks that starting a YouTube channel or starting something like this or just venturing off into a new path is dangerous. So once I realized that my brain's gonna do anything to protect me, it's gonna prevent me from going into anything dangerous, and it's gonna pretty much make me procrastinate on any decision that's new and not familiar. So once I knew that about my brain, I also learned about something called, for me, I called it 3Ds, which is, I'll name them dopamine, distractions, and decisions. So, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but for me, I'm somewhat familiar with it, but for me, dopamine. Starting with dopamine. For those of you, if you don't know what dopamine is a neurotransmitter released in your brain, which makes you feel pleasurable. Or it's also what's released in your brain whenever you feel motivated, like when you're about to attain a goal. And what I didn't really know is that dopamine is easily released these days. Meaning, if you post a picture on Instagram and you get a like, dopamine's released, right? If you watch Netflix and it's giving you some type of pleasure, dopamine's released. So when you order food and the guy delivers it, dopamine is released. So dopamine's always constantly being released and it's addictive. You're always looking for your next hit. And what I didn't know though was the amount of dopamine your brain could produce each day is limited. So what this means is it's kind of similar to like a cell phone battery. Every time dopamine is released, it's like if you're at 100% when you freshly wake up in the morning, and dopamine is, and you're using up your dopamine on, say, your cell phone, because you're looking up an article, you're looking up all these things, and it's addictive. You're scrolling on Instagram. I was finding myself scrolling for about an hour and a half at times on Instagram because, it was showing me things I liked and dopamine was being released. Now, if dopamine is what motivates us to attain new pleasures and we can release it so easily, and you're limited each day on how much you can get, how much your brain makes, no wonder why it's going to be hard. And no wonder I figured out why it would be hard to, do anything that's new, anything that's productive, anything that I've been wanting to do. So I understood that dopamine plays a key role in getting shit done. Now the second D was distractions. Now, if you could hear my computer's going off and it's distracting me right now, distractions are huge. Meaning, I'm finding out that the average human attention span these days is only about 10 seconds. So it means as soon as I start this video, something could distract me and take my attention elsewhere. And what I was realizing these last 2 months is that my attention is all over the place. It's like I could be reading a book and I'm getting, I'm halfway through the book and the book mentions another book. I go find that other book, and then before you know it, I start that book, and I don't finish the other book. Or I could be, watching a YouTube video, and I can't, while I'm watching the video, I get a text on my phone, or, I want to scroll Instagram. I'm constantly multitasking. So this has been a huge, huge thing for me not getting shit done is, I have so many distractions between Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, people in my life. And looking at particularly my phone, I realize how much my phone is actually distracting me and limiting me. And then, even though I want to get all this done, if I'm using up all my dopamine on easy shit and, I'm getting distracted so easily, this is another reason why I just can't get shit done. And then the final D was decisions. Now, the thing with decisions is it's kind of like dopamine is if you make too many decisions throughout the day, you get what's called decision fatigue. So again, if you wake up in the morning, right, and you go to your closet and you're like, what shirt should I put on, the blue or red, or the blue or the black? If that decision is not automatic, if you take a second to think about it, boop, it's like the cell phone battery. Your brain gets, boom, it goes down. And then you find yourself, if you're constantly doing this, you just can't make decisions throughout the day. Like you're always hesitating. Your battery is just getting drained, which is your brain, and you get foggy and you need a nap or you crave some sugar or something. So between, dopamine being used up easily, right, through freaking Instagram and social media, always being distracted, and me always constantly trying to make decisions. And for me, decisions, when it comes to doing something, I have so many decisions on my plate on what I need to get done throughout the day. Like, sometimes I'm like, I want to read, I want to meditate, I want to do my affirmations. I want to do all these freaking things. I got to work out. And my problem is I can't figure out which one to do first. So I'll just be sitting there thinking, which one should I do? And I'm like planning this all in my head, and it's draining me. And my battery is just going down by the time I finally do make a decision. It's like, holy shit. Like, I see this all the time with, like, my girl, like, when we try to order from Grubhub or something, and there's so many orders. she can't pick one because she's scrolling. Or like, Netflix, for instance. There's so many damn videos on Netflix. We'll take 20 to 30 to 40 minutes trying to pick out a movie. And by that time, when we're 40 minutes in, we realize, like, is it even worth watching a movie now? So, these are things I'm learning is the 3Ds, again, dopamine, decisions, and distractions. And I'm doing my best to just, hop on stuff, and I'm understanding that this video is going to be super, super raw. So, did I figure out a solution? The big one was yes, I did figure out a solution. Is now that I have this awareness that my brain is going to do its best to keep me safe and prevent me from doing anything new. And, and I have more of an idea of how to use of the 3Ds. These are certain things that I started using to actually get shit done. And step one was I stopped fighting with my brain. And what I mean by that is I'm realizing whatever I resist persists. Meaning if I'm resisting my brain, like if my brain, that voice in my head, if I'm constantly fighting with that voice in my, the voice my brain's, fighting with me with, I'm gonna just drain myself. So whatever resists persists. So what I decided to start doing is collaborating with my brain, is working with my brain. And I started, I learned this technique, which is back in the day when I took this transformational event, is you listen to the thoughts and you say thank you to your brain, and I'm listening to them. I'm not fighting with it, I'm observing them. And then I'm just making a simple request to my brain of, can we do this thing for a few minutes? So all I've been doing lately is requesting a few minutes. Because before, like say if I was gonna try to work out, and if you're not an avid workout guy, like working out's easy for me, well, I'm just using workout as an example. Say you was gonna work out, and you just was like, I gotta do an hour workout, but you're new to working out. Believe it or not, that's too much time to request from your brain to do something new. And your brain is gonna come up with a whole bunch of excuses. So instead of doing the whole hour, why not do 5 minutes? Now the key here is requesting of it for 5 minutes. And the key here is if you do the 5 minutes, that's great. But chances are once you start, you're in it. And when you start enjoying it, guess what your brain starts to release is dopamine. Your brain starts to like doing this hard task. It's like, oh, this feels pretty freaking good. Another key I've been doing is since my dopamine is limited each day and my decisions are limited each day, I freaking do everything that I find that is hard early in the morning, as soon as I wake up. So for me, whatever is hard, so for instance, preparing material for YouTube like this, which I'm hoping, I'm not saying hoping, I'm gonna use better language, but I'm like, fuck it, I'm starting with this because it's hard for me. Like for instance, video is hard with me, and although I'm not doing it in the morning, I've prepared material, I've outlined some things, I've read books on it, and I'm consistent. So what I'm doing is I'm using up all my dopamine early in the morning for the hard tasks. I'm only doing it for a few minutes because what I'm trying to do with these few minutes is get into a flow state. And for those of you that don't know flow state, you can just look it up on YouTube. It's just when you stop thinking and you just do. So dopamine is at its highest. I'm limiting my decisions on what I make. I'm making, like the night before, this is what I'm planning on doing. That way I already know what to do as soon as I wake up. So decision fatigue is not in effect. And distractions, if I do it early in the morning, and one of the big things I've been doing lately is not checking Instagram till like later on in the afternoon. And I'm not consuming the more material, which was another problem, was I kept consuming too much material. I'm like, all right, as soon as I read this article, I'll start. As soon as I do this, I'll start. As soon as I finish this book, I'll start. So I'm literally limiting decisions, right, early in the morning. I'm working on using my dopamine for the hard tasks early in the morning. And I'm saving all the stuff I like to do that's easy for me later on in the day. Like for me, working out is easy. Meditating is easy. I'll do that later on because I'm going to do it even if I'm not motivated. It's already a habit. So I'm trying to turn this into a habit. And distractions early in the morning, very limited. If you're up early, nobody else is up, and if you're not using, you know, your phone, you're not being distracted. So these are keys I've been doing, and I'm learning that I'm actually starting to get shit done. And if you're having problems getting shit done, I'm just gonna recap this video again, which is one, your brain doesn't want to do anything that's unfamiliar. Its main job is to protect you and prevent you from doing anything new, because anything new is perceived dangerous. That's one. Understand the 3Ds: dopamine, decisions, and distractions. And then how to utilize this information is understand that instead of resisting your brain, collaborate with it and just break down your task into a few minutes, because that way the brain doesn't think, oh, this is gonna suck. And then once you get into that flow and you start building the neural pathways, I could pretty much guarantee you're gonna start getting shit done. And the last thing I'll go is with the decisions is limit how much material you consume. I mean, if you're watching this YouTube video, hopefully it's one of the first videos, or hopefully it's the last video you need to watch, is because if you're like anything like me, I was just consuming YouTube video, and I'm thinking I'm being productive, but I'm not. And all these hours I wasted on YouTube, I start getting a headache and I'm drained, I'm all brain foggy. I never got anything done. So again, I hope this video helped you to some degree. I hope that you take this and learn with it, and I'm committed to making videos at least monthly for now until I get comfortable with this, but I do have a bunch of ideas. But again, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, because that will release dopamine for me. If I see that I got a like, I'll be like, oh shit, I like this. But if you like this video, again, like it, and I hope to see you next time. Just remember, this is an affirmation I'm gonna say hopefully every video. Day by day, in every way, we are getting better and better. And make sure you celebrate every time you get shit done. That way dopamine's released and your brain wants to keep on doing it. See you guys next time.